Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Star Watch, which is a weekly astrological transit report. If you're new here, my name is Jane. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We have some big transits going on, so let's just go ahead and delve right in here. So we're starting this reading off for June 8th, which is Wednesday, June 8th. Mercury Day. Happy Mercury Day, everybody. And we're still in Gemini season, of course. We have this beautiful sun still in Gemini. Now, this week, the sun is going to be moving from the Venus decan into the Uranian decan. And he's actually almost there. He's sitting at 17 degrees. So once he hits that 20-degree mark in the next few days, he is going to be entering into the Uranus realm of Gemini. So there's a lot of unpredictability that can really happen here, especially because this is happening at the same time that Venus is coming in contact with Uranus as well. And it's in the Mercury decan of Taurus. So there's a lot of movement that's very, very possible for you right now. There's a lot of unexpected things that could happen, or brilliant insights, or really creative ideas, or, random people that kind of pop up in your life. There's a lot of possibilities here. And I said last week, I was like, I'm not even going to begin to try to interpret or to predict what this could bring, because I honestly think that would be a mistake. I think this is one of those things that you look back on and you say, okay, well, that was the astrological environment at that time, and this is what occurred, to kind of make sense of it. But trying to predict going forward is going to be very, very difficult, because that is the nature of Uranus. That is the nature of this kind of randomized, spontaneous, sporadic, unpredictable Uranian energy. It's very volatile. It doesn't have to be bad, right? Uranus can bring a lot of blessings and a lot of really great things as well. It can bring a lot of increase, but it can also just bring some instability, and it can create some change in some way, shape, or form. And all of a sudden, one day you're operating like normal, one day, boom, here it is. And then the next day something happens and your whole scope, your whole perspective, your whole way of looking at something is just completely turned on its head a little bit. And there's room for that. And I think we're kind of ready for that in our own unique, individualized ways. We're ready for this sort of revolutionary energy to really start showing up in our lives. We're ready for things to be truly different. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this moon here, which is sitting at the 28th degree of Virgo today, which has been in opposition with Neptune. So it may have been a little bit of a slow start this morning. But as it moves forward into Libra today, I think that this is really going to be amplifying this Chiron Mars conjunction energy. But let's talk a little bit more about this full moon that's coming up here on the 14th. Actually, let me fast forward the clock here so you can see that. On the 14th, 23 degrees of Sagittarius, so it's in the sun decan here, moon over here in Sag, sun over here in the Uranian decan of Gemini, and it's in a T-square with Neptune, which is right here. So we've got Neptune, sun, and moon. Let me tell you the very first instinctual thought that came to my mind today as I was just kind of looking at the chart. Before I turn on the camera. The very first thought was that we are going to be transitioning from focusing on our restrictions to focusing on our freedoms, okay? And it's a very subtle shift. And I think this particular moon will be subtle in some, we do have that Uranus involvement here. We have the sun involvement here with the decan rulership. So there is that quality of bigness, which means that it has a big impact. And I think even the smallest shifts in perspectives, or the smallest shifts in the way that we see things, can make great strides over the course of the upcoming months. This moon is especially beautiful because Neptune offers this boundlessness, right? It offers limitlessness and belief in the infinite and belief in all things that are possible for us as individuals to accomplish or to achieve or to feel or to heal. Neptune will always bring a spiritual healing component. There's always an ascension quality here as well. Sometimes that can bring loss. Sometimes there's a trade-off, like in order for the spiritual development to happen, there has to be a shift in the physical world. And because Saturn is retrograde now and moving very slow and is in the Venusian decan of Aquarius, and Venus will always bring a physicality to things, there may need to be an outflow of something material in order for the spiritual knowledge or wisdom to be fully received. Now, again, I don't know that it's going to be a huge loss or anything. I think it's all very, very subtle in its own way, but it has a big impact. And Neptune can offer a lot of belief. There's a lot of belief in what is possible for us. And that belief really, hopefully, can carry us through the mundane tasks of what it needs to take in order to achieve those things. This may be a full moon where you kind of have to settle with yourself a little bit and you say, okay, self, like we really want this in our lives. We really want this, fill in the blank. We want this relationship. We want this financial freedom. We want this business to grow. We want this beautiful family or this beautiful home. Like, this is really something that we want, right? This is you saying it to yourself, right? This is what we want. So we're committed to that in a way, and we're not necessarily committed to how it needs to happen, but we are committed to this dream. And so what does need to happen? And I think Saturn retrograde, like, I don't know. I mean, we haven't really seen the effects of it yet, but I do kind of like it, if I'm being honest. I feel like he's giving us that opportunity here in this moment to scale back and take a big dream and chop it up into small, digestible, doable, achievable, miniature goals. And he's saying, look, if you really want to move in this direction, which you do, which you say you do, you really want to move in this direction, you're going to want to make it easy for yourself. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be something that you actually can do, and we want to see you succeed. See, the thing with Saturn is that he does want you to succeed. He does want you to achieve. He can make it harder sometimes, and you have to learn your lessons and you have to go through the process of mastery in order to do that, but you will achieve with Saturn. That's the thing, right? Delay but never deny. He's never going to deny you your dream, ever. But you do have to reach that wavelength. You have to reach that vibration. And sometimes reaching that vibration must happen more slowly. Okay, so also on this day of the full moon, let's talk about a couple other things that are happening. We have Venus sandwiched in here between Uranus. By the way, that's Tuesday, so next Tuesday. Venus is sandwiched here between Uranus and the North Node. Mercury officially is in Gemini now, his sign of rulership. So we've got Mercury ruled Gemini, Mercury ruled Deacon, and here he is. So Mercury. He's doing pretty good here. Let's see what he's aspecting. He'll be in aspect with Pluto over here, which he is, in a trine with Pluto. So there is a depth. There's a depth of access, right? You have access to the deeper parts of yourself. So this is what I was saying. I've been saying this all year. It's like these desires that we have, these desires to move in these directions, these are not egoic this year. I don't know. It doesn't feel like, we just want to go buy that Ferrari because it's going to make other people think that we're cool and special. Like, that's so dumb, right? Like, clearly we're not in that space anymore, right? It's just like not even a thing anymore. So like these desires are more from the soul. And that stuff is becoming more accessible to us now. We're starting to remove a lot of these blockages. And I think that as Saturn does move through Pisces through 23 and 24, all those blockages are going to just start just falling away. And we're going to find more freedom in our lives over the next couple of years, internally, individually, in that capacity. We have also Mars conjunct Chiron happening on the same day. So this moon, like I say, it's big, but subtle, and a lot of shifts occurring. I'm going to just go backwards just a few days here, because I want to talk about, so let's go back to Friday, June 10th. This is, again, the day, Sun about to move into the Uranian decan. We have Venus coming into that conjunction with Uranus. We have Mars making his way into that conjunction with Chiron. So, and I said this last week as well, specifically this Mars conjunct Chiron. This is like inner child work, right? This is also, just FYI, actually, if I go back to Thursday, we can see the opposition with the moon. So tomorrow the moon is going to come into an opposition with Mars Chiron. So we're really going to start feeling this probably today, tomorrow. You know, there's a rawness here. There's a vulnerability that's here. It doesn't have to mean that you're having emotional breakdowns. It doesn't mean that you're going to be, you know, crying or fighting with people. It just, you know, it's that exposure. And because we are being challenged, Saturn retrograde, we're being challenged to move past these boundaries now. And again, make that shift from focusing on the things that have been holding us back to now bypassing those things or eliminating or dissolving those things and actually embracing the freedom component, because Neptune is involved with this full moon coming up. So, you know, he's going to dissolve boundaries and dissolve perspectives. And sometimes that can be a little disillusioning, but also it's very freeing as well. You get to, you know, shatter your own ivory tower, if you will, you know. But it can be a vulnerable process at the same time, because maybe you do have to admit that you are wrong with something, or you do have to admit that you are stuck. And again, this Mercury retrograde, that's over now. Mercury is moving direct, but he's still moving really slow. But, you know, there is still that component of that stubbornness, the stuckness, where we can't get out of our own wayness, right? Where we cannot get out of our own way. We just can't seem to like overcome certain obstacles, right? Those things have been so prevalent and so prominent in our psyche, in our minds, and in our day-to-day operations. But yet at the same time, there are lots of people, and maybe many of you, who are still saying to yourself, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I acknowledge these things. I understand these things. I can see them. I can perceive them. But I am going to move forward anyway. And that's the courage, right? That's the Mars and Aries, Jupiter and Aries. That's the courage. That's the aggressiveness. That's the push, right? That we've been needing for a long time, especially because all that Pisces energy at the beginning of the year just got so weird. It just was weird. It was weird, and it was a little dark, and it was a little dank even, and just was like everything just felt so stagnant. And now like we actually can push. But you are going to have to confront that inner child, confront the fear, confront the vulnerability, confront the trauma. You are going to have to, because it doesn't mean you have to completely heal it or completely make it go away. It just means you have to accept it and acknowledge it and understand that it is there, which you already do, and choose to move past it or choose to act in spite of it. And I think this is an opportunity for you to really gain a lot of confidence as well, in any area where you may feel that you are lacking in some capacity. You may feel at the end of the day, continually each day, as this progresses forward through the 14th, through the actual conjunction on the 14th. Here's the 14th here. You can see that happening, 15 degrees, 9 minutes. So 14th and 15th of next week, you're going to see that it's like every day you finish and you've done something that's pushed you out of your comfort zone, that you're going to feel better and better and better and better. The goal here truly is to build momentum, right? To get momentum with the new projects, to get momentum with the new directions and the new desires and the new whatever it is you have going on. And the more momentum you build, the more confident you become, and the stronger you become, and the more valuable you become, because you really can show up in that way. So this is a turning point for a lot of people, because some people are going to cower to this, and they're going to succumb to their pain, and they're going to feel unworthy. And especially because it's happening in the sun decan of Aries, and we know that we know that the sun is exalted in Aries here. So, this has a lot to do with your image and what it is you project out there, and your sense of achievements in life, and what it is you hope to achieve, and what it is you hope to acquire and to give. So this can be emotional for some. For sure. It can definitely be emotional, especially as Venus, who loves her stability, right? Especially in Taurus. She loves her stability, and she loves her balance, and she loves her sort of sultry approach to life. And here she is coming in. Now she's still in her domicile, right? So she's in her realm in Taurus. So she likes to be here, but she has this like very unruly, weird, unique, strange, or maybe deranged, if we could say that, house guest, which is Uranus. And she's also got this weird south node, or excuse me, I said that last week too, the north node. I don't know why I keep saying south node. The north node in Taurus. So she's having to like go to dinner now with her house guests. She's having to sit down and like actually have a conversation with them. And it's like when you have a dinner party and you have to invite those weird people, and you know how awkward it's going to be, and you know that they're going to say something really inappropriate, and you know that you're just going to have to like deal with their personalities. And I think that's kind of how she's approaching this. She just says, you know what, I'm just going to have to deal with these strange individuals who are in my home. I'm going to have to treat them well, and we'll just have to kind of see what comes of it, because maybe there could be a brilliant brainstorming session over cocktails. Maybe there could be a brilliant person that enters into your life that just is way not what you expected, and maybe on some degree, some level, you can expect the unexpected and just not be surprised by anything. Now, again, it doesn't mean that all of you are going to have huge life-changing events this week. Maybe some of you will, but not everyone will. But I do think that at least you can expect some shakeup of some kind, even if it's just up here in your mind in terms of how you see something, especially because Sagittarius is involved, right? So there's that, extraordinarily high-level philosophical component that comes out. So the shift in philosophy may be a part of this too. Okay. And I'm happy that Mercury is coming into Gemini, but remember, he's still in shadow. So if you're still kind of experiencing some weird communication things, or if you're still experiencing some strange, even technology things, like I know my website server's been down, really struggling with my hosting company, I'm just like, oh my God, it's still like, I know Mercury's going direct, but oh my gosh, he's still like slowing everything down. He's still like messing everything up. But I think that at least he's in Gemini now, but he's still in shadow, but there could be some weird stuff going on for you with that. Just trying to see here if there's anything else that's super relevant. I think that's the majority of what's going on this week. As the moon moves through Libra and Scorpio in Sag, this is kind of like these particular zodiac signs. They can bring, specifically Libra and Scorpio, because they do have a lot to do with justice, right? They have a lot to do with it's kind of like Libra is the judge who makes the ruling, and then Scorpio is where you pay the sentence, right? So there's kind of like this cause and effect or karmic outcomes that could really happen. So you may notice some interesting cause and effects over the past couple days, but it can be a release as well, especially as the moon comes over the south node. as we can see here on, the 12th, this weekend, as the moon comes through Scorpio. It's going to be in that opposition with Uranus, opposition with Venus, and then, of course, the node conjunction as well. So, there can be some kind of purge that's also possible, or some kind of elimination of some kind. As we know, Scorpio has a lot to do with eliminating or purging or releasing or, burning things to the ground, significant endings. So that is possible too. This could also have a lot to do with certain obligations that you're involved in, financial obligations, your marriage. There could be something that happens there. I think safety is a big word for a moon through Scorpio, specifically with the South Node, emotional safety especially, but also financial as well, and how those two are really tied together. There may be a financial upset that then impacts your emotional life or your marriage or your partnerships or those who you are legally bound to. Scorpio is a very kind of karmic sign, right, that has that quality of being bound. That's why we have shared resources here. So you might be considering how to get yourself out of something, how to get yourself away, right? Because Uranus is a lot about detachment. And the nodes can definitely bring shifts in that. So you may be trying to figure out how to get yourself out of or away from a specific obligation that has been carried out for too long, perhaps, or that truly is no longer serving you in that capacity. And then you'll find that freedom as the moon comes through Sag, building up to the full moon in that T-square with Neptune, okay? So a lot of interesting effects this week, a lot of interesting shifts. So allow yourself to go with the flow. We got a lot of mutable energy with the sun and the moon. So allow yourself to go with the flow as much as possible. But don't lose sight of the goal. Still, even though there's that conjunction with Chiron, we still want to make sure that Mars is being used in a high quality way while he is still in Aries, right? We get to set targets, and a lot of the things that we are initiating now are going to really come to fruition, I think, when we hit Mars in Leo next year. So there's kind of a carryover, because I like to see Mars as like an arrow, right? So things that are in a beginning stage, as they are in Aries, they tend to truly manifest through Leo, and then we reap real rewards during Sagittarius. So it's kind of like this fire trine. So we want to keep our eyes on the target for the Mars in Leo transit next year, and allow ourselves like that amount of time to really see results. But we want to get started now. It's going to be high quality results if we do. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. You guys know I love you. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.